and gentlemen, this is lesson 1.10, dividing rational numbers. So rational numbers, we know, is any number that can be expressed as a fraction using integers. And we've done multiplication with them. That was just really top times top, bottom times bottom, but we talked a little bit about what that actually means. And now we're dividing them. So my first question to you is, when you see a division sentence, do you know what each part of the division sentence is called? They each have names.
The quotient.
One of them is the quotient, one of them is the dividend.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at a fraction, we've got numerator, denominator. These aren't going to be involved in this one so much. Okay, where does the quotient go? And where does the quotient is the answer? Really good. Nice. What are the other two parts? I'll give you a hint. They're called dividend and divisor, but do you know where they go?
Dividend on top, divisor on bottom.
We just
On the outside and set.
Yeah, no, that's correct.
Oh.
So
Can we just stick with denominator and stuff like that?
this is a
That's for
dividend,
Oh yeah.
and this is your divisor. So what's nice here is that the OR ending gives away that this guy does something. So this is something, and this guy does something. He divides it. The divisor divides. Okay? So that's what you're splitting into. You're splitting the dividend by the divider. And you're going to result in the quotient. Now, in order to divide rational numbers in fraction form, what is our strategy? What's our strategy going to be? Do you remember how to do that?
Cross multiplication.
You have to make
Oh.
a common denominator, isn't it?
So that's adding and subtracting, common denominator.
It's,
But both of your back row answers are good. Reciprocal and cross multiply. Here's what we're going to write. In order to divide rational numbers in fraction form, we are going to multiply the dividend by the reciprocal of the divisor.
What's a reciprocal?
What is a reciprocal?
It's the opposite. It's a switch. It's you switch the top and the bottom.
Yeah, you swap the numerator and denominator and that becomes a reciprocal. Okay, it's not the opposite. Remember, opposite had to do with what side of 0 it's on. So the opposite of 2 is negative 2. But the reciprocal of 2 is 1 over 2. Okay, because 2 is actually 2 wholes, 2 over 1 becomes 1 over 2. So opposite and reciprocal are not the same thing. We need to be careful about that. But in order to divide fractions, or divide rational numbers, we're simply going to multiply the dividend. We're going to leave the first fraction the same. We're going to change this to a multiplication sign, and then we're going to flip our divisor to its reciprocal, and that will give us our quotient, which when we're thinking about multiplication, it's called a product. But yes?
Quick question. When it's like 0 divided by 1/2, do you put the 1 on the top or bottom?
0 divided by 1/2.
Anything divided by 0 is 0.
Anything divided by 0
But do you, like, if
is
it's
not,
undivided
no.
by half, do you put the 1 on the top or the 1 on the bottom? Like, you have to put
It'll be
something
1
on
over
the
1.
I think you're asking this question.
Yeah.
So this would be 0 divided by anything. If you have 0, can you divide it by anything? You're still going to have 0. Right? Doesn't matter how you think of this. If you start with nothing, you can't divide it and get more. It's going to be 0. But yeah, that would convert into 0 times 2, which is 0. Yeah.
How do you know what goes on the top and what goes on the bottom when you're cross multiplying?
So that's why we're not going to talk necessarily about cross multiplying. We're going to talk about multiplying the dividend by the reciprocal of the divisor. Okay, and that will make sense after we do. Let's do a few problems, and then it'll make a lot more sense. So in A, your example there is 1/4 divided by 1/2. And we are going to leave the dividend the same, and we're going to take the reciprocal of the divisor. What is the reciprocal of 1 over 2?
2 over 1.
2 over 1. And now multiplying, how do we multiply rational numbers? We take top times
Top.
and bottom times bottom. So we just have 2 over 4, which reduces to 1/2. And my apologies, I worked across here, but you should really be working down. And then the last one, doesn't matter so much. But. Okay, B. B is 3 divided by 1/3, divided by 1/3. Now this one's a little bit more challenging because this is a whole number. But remember, we could represent any number over 1. So here we go. We've got 3/1. I'm just going to rewrite this. If you don't need this step, then that's okay, but there it is. And now we're going to keep the dividend, 3/1. And instead of dividing by 1/3, we're going to multiply by
3/1.
3/1, which is really just 3 times 3. Becomes 9/1, which is 9.
And that's every single question?
I don't understand your question.
With every question for division? Is that all
Every
of
time you're dividing fractions, you can change it to multiplication and
And then
flip
flip
the
the sign.
divisor.
that? Oh,
Okay?
cool.
Try C on your own.
That's a negative.
Think about what happens to that negative sign.
Can we leave them in proper, right?
Yes, please. In lowest form, but improper yet.
Question, does that big multiplication go into the two small ones? The two numbers? Or does it...
I'm not 100% sure what you're asking, but let me just explain this first.
This big one, does that go right there and there?
That is a negative sign,
Yeah.
so that just means that that fraction 2/5 is negative. So you can attach it to the 2, probably is the easiest way to think about it. Yep.
Not both?
But so that fraction sign, does it?
Okay, you should be able to double check your answer here. A question was, what do I do with this negative sign that's out front? Do I put it with the 2 and the 5? No, because a negative over a negative, that would end up being a positive, which isn't what you're given. So I just like to attach it to the numerator and work it through that way. Another way to think about it is, in the problem that you're given, you have one negative factor, therefore your answer is going to have one negative factor, -4/3, after you've reduced it. Okay, for D on that page, the last practice one, you're given a mixed fraction. And the same rules are going to apply, but first things first, we want to change that mixed into an improper. Okay, so how do I...
What do you do with the negative sign since you're making it a whole number?
So we're all just thinking about this as a number. This is a whole thing that sticks together. And the negative, all that means is that you're down here at 1.5, -1.5, okay? And we need to convert that into a improper fraction. So how many halves do we have? If we have one whole and 1/2, how many halves do we have altogether? We have 3 halves, and we're still negative, of course, so we have -3 halves. Next step. Yeah, improper math terminology would be multiply by the reciprocal. And then again, you can leave that negative sign out front, or you can, in your mind, attach it to the 3. Oh, that's what I like to do. The top -3 times 7 is 21. 2 times 4 is 8. And can we reduce that?
No.
No, we can't. So you can leave your answer like that. If you're really, really in love with mixed numbers, then you can go ahead and reduce it. But you don't have to. Okay, your practice problems for dividing rational numbers are found on page 144, number 7 through 20, and then 24 through 32, and there's a reminder there that you should be able to do this without a calculator. No calculator.
What are you doing there, Reciprocal?